Here's why the FIRE movement doesn't work for your ideal life. Let's talk about it. All right, Mike, first we need to figure out what FIRE is for people who don't know, and then tell people why the FIRE movement doesn't work when we talk about what our ideal life looks like. So first, explain what the FIRE movement is.
So that stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. And it has been around for a number of decades. And I was introduced to this probably 10, maybe even 15 years ago, early on in my financial journey of trying to retire early. And the reason that I don't believe it works, as you stated, is you may waste 10 or maybe even 20 years of your life, most likely your youth, at a job you may not like for a lot of money, hopefully, right, to reach that financial independence earlier, sooner than later. But for us, we want you to start living your ideal lives today, right? We want you to save years or decades of your life. And there's two big things that I got to learn on this FIRE journey that I thought I wanted to be a part of. And that was I missed out on so many things because I was saving so much money. I was putting over 20, maybe even over 50% of my income away at certain years so I could retire early. And a lot of those years were in my 20s. And how many opportunities, how many experiences did I miss because of that?
Hmm.
I just don't know. I can dream, I can think about it, but those are just some of the things that I wouldn't say they're a regret, but if I had to do life over, I would have changed that just a little bit.
We'll get back to the episode in just a second, but we wanted to give you a gift just for being here today. Thank you so much. We've got a 3-part video workshop absolutely free for you. This workshop is designed to help you get organized with your money so that you can give yourself a 10% raise. When you give yourself a 10% raise, you are going to have more money. And when you have more money, we will show you exactly what to do with that money so that you can get on the path to financial freedom and start living your life, your ideal life today. You're going to learn how to get out of debt. You're going to learn how to save money. You're going to learn how to free up money so that you can invest for your future. If you're unfulfilled with life, whether it be at work, in your personal life, or with your money, then this is the workshop for you. Visit sentinelcoaching.com/raise. That's sentinelcoaching.com/raise, or click the link in the description. Now, back to the episode. Okay. So if I remember correctly, I was never involved with the FIRE movement, but I've heard of it, obviously being a financial coach, and I've known a bunch of people who were involved in the FIRE movement. The concept is you work like a dog for however many years to get to a certain number of savings, and then you're saying no to everything, right? You're not going out to eat, you're not buying stuff, you're truly just saving, 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 saving. And then you get to a certain number, and then you literally quit your job and retire, and then you live off of that investment. Is that how that works?
That is how it started. And yes,
Okay.
and that was the first thing that I got to learn. The second thing that I said those two things. The second thing is there's always going to be something that I'm going to do. I want to grow. I want to contribute. Jason and I have created these ILMA courses and membership for you, right? And that typically comes with an exchange, a financial exchange. You pay us for our knowledge and we give you that knowledge. So I figured out that I'm going to do something for the rest of my life. And I plan to live well over 100 years old. Right? So there's never going to be a number in my future to stop working. Now, that number is going to provide me a cooler lifestyle. My wife and I will be able to give more, but those things, I'm never going to just stop. I can't just not do nothing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's so important. What we have learned over the last bunch of years and what we teach people is to live your ideal life right now. And I think you can, right? If you get organized enough, you can live your ideal life, and you don't have to be a multimillionaire, right? We always think about this is like, oh, well, once I reach X or once I reach Y dollars in the bank or in my savings account or in under my mattress or in investments, then I can live off of the interest or whatever. But then it turns out people that think that way, most of the time, they do one of two things. One, they never get there. They never reach that particular dollar amount because they're striving for that so much. And then you wasted decades of your life, like Mike was talking about. Or the second category is maybe you did reach it, but you reached it so late that you also wasted all of that time. And then actually there's a third reason. There's a third category is you got to that number and you started living your life and then you end up passing away a few years later or whatever, and you have so much money in the bank or in your investments, you never used it. And so how much wasted life or wasted experiences could you have missed out on? Right? These are some situations that we do as a culture every day, all day, every year. Mike, have you
I got
experienced?
something else. I got something
Yeah,
else to add to that, Jason.
yeah,
It's a lot of people will reach that number, but once they reach it, it's not enough. So they move it. They keep
change.
moving. They keep changing the goalposts, right? You keep kicking the can down the road.
Yeah,
And what we want you to do is don't do that. Don't look forward to someday. Someday is not on a calendar, right? All we have is today. And today we want you to start living your ideal life. Now, one of these things that was really pivotal in my changing or my thought process in this, and I want you, whoever's watching or whoever's listening to this, I want you to sit with this question. So I was at work and this lady said, "What are you even saving for?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't have an answer." And the point of her asking me the question, "What am I saving for?" She wanted me to buy more things, consume more. She wanted me to do different things. And what it actually caused me to do was save more, but on purpose. I still didn't have an answer for her, but I knew something was going to come up and I was going to have an opportunity. And that opportunity came when I met my wife. And that was travel, quitting our jobs and traveling. That was, wow, almost 8 years ago. And that was what I was saving for. But I didn't know, I thought I had to have, like Jason mentioned, millions of dollars to live this life when you really didn't. And Elle helped me kicked me out of the nest. I got out of my safety, my comfort zone, and started traveling. We knew we were going to have to work. We didn't know how, but we were going to, and that's exactly what we've continued to do. We've learned to live on less than we make, no matter if we make $20,000 a year or $100,000 a year. We are going to live on less than that. And the best way that Jason and I know how to do that is being out of debt, being debt free.
yeah. And getting organized and budgeting your money, right? You have to know these things. That's one of the reasons why we created the course. Right? We talk about the FIRE movement and why that doesn't work is because you'll lose. I mean, unless you're in a rare circumstance where you already are in your ideal work, right? If you're in your ideal work and you make a bunch of money and you're saving that money for that period of time, that's fantastic. But if you're not, which a lot of the FIRE movement people are, that it's like just get the best paying job you can. It doesn't matter if you like it or not, and grind, grind, grind. You're working 80-hour weeks, you're saving 50% of your income, whatever it is. Like you'll lose a decade at least trying to get to this number. And what would you look back if you're mid to late 30s and you decide to retire? What would you have liked to do in your 20s? What would you have liked to do in your late 20s, in your early 30s that you couldn't do because you worked like crazy? And then you realize, oh, I actually have too much money. I have money kind of all over the place. And I want to contribute to the world, like Mike's talking about. And I'm making some money on side hustles, gigs, hobbies, doing all the things, and so you don't really need to. And then you end up dying with $5 million. Like, gosh, you could have had so much of a better life. And that's why we want to change and shift the mindset around money, especially when the reason why we as a culture want this X amount of dollars is because that's based in worry. It's based in fear. Those decisions, remember, you never want to make decisions based in fear. When you fear what happens if I lose out of money? what's going to happen in there is you're going to always be striving. And then like what Mike talked about, you're going to move that goalpost. You're going to change it because like, well, maybe a million's not enough. Maybe I need 2 million. Maybe I need 3 million. And then you're going to constantly be doing that. And then you're going to look back, you're going to be 65 years old and you're going to be like, whoa, I mean, I lived my entire life in fear. And that's not what we want for you. We want your ideal life. We want you to live that today. You can do it.
Yes. And if you want to get there faster, be sure to jump into our online ILMA budgeting course. Click the link below, and we'll see you inside there.